Behind them, nothing. Rebuild Syria, beginning with the school. Behind them, nothing. This expression resonated in me as I traveled through Syria from September 19th to the 28th, 2018. I observed the destruction left by ISIS and those who chased them out of the territory between the northern outskirts of Damascus and the southern zone of Aleppo as I traveled about 400 kilometers, going from Hams, passing near Hama, reaching the limits of the salty desert towards the lake of Assad. I remained overwhelmed by the outskirts of the city, with the buildings riddled with the cannon blows, burned inside, where doors and windows were open mouths, blackened with smoke. But I am even more struck by the houses in the villages, the little stores, the artisans' workshops, houses of peasants, of small producers, demolished, gutted, one by one, methodically and with ferocity. Where once there was life, there is now silence and abandonment. Only one of the olive trees continued to resist, almost as if to shout out that peace must be possible, even if it was only for human survival. The desert is immense, majestic, overwhelming. Where salt has accumulated, it appears to be a light blue-green that recalls the sea. Even some of the oil wells are closed because ISIS destroyed the structures when they abandoned them. Crude oil for domestic consumption and exported abroad via the sea is transported by tank trucks, forming impressive columns. Russia, as a price for supporting Assad, has the opportunity to exploit a large part of Syrian oil resources for 50 years. Only in part have the areas of culture been restored, especially near the cities, rebuilding the water canals destroyed by ISIS. However, the population no longer lives in the countryside. People prefer to undertake extensive journeys from the outskirts to the cities to the fields, rather than live in these heavily militarized areas where the checkpoints are continuous and the vehicles are all controlled. The military personnel also asked us if we have weapons, and asked the driver to show a waiver sheet, as all men between the ages of 20 and 35 are enlisted. Along the way, cars are rare. Commissary trucks prevail. Transportation is commonly by bus. At a junction after Hama, we overtake at least 15 large trucks with Russian weapons directed to Idlib, the last western stronghold of ISIS, where, if diplomacy and common sense will not prevail, decisive combat should take place between Assad's troops, supported by Turkey and Russia, and the terrorists. The devastation of Aleppo until a few years ago the industrial lung of Syria is impressive. It reminds one of the destruction of the German cities, particularly of Berlin after the Second World War. The city is almost empty, going from 4 million inhabitants to 1,800,000. And the exodus continues, especially by the younger people. This war is a murderous and destructive fury that has not spared the most precious archaeological sites, almost trying to cancel history. A war perhaps decided at the table between the great powers, where ISIS has offered the favorable opportunity for occupying the land and thus more easily sharing areas of influence and exploitation of the resources. A war that is somehow ending, even if democracy will remain an illusion, because in the end, everyone recognizes the need for a strong government. Even the embargo will end. The people want peace at any price. It is a proud people with so much dignity that, as a Syrian friend told me, even if it's on its knees right now, it will rise again. We want to help these people to get up. The refugees to return, starting from the small, the most defenseless, starting from the school. For over 100 years, the Daughters of Mary Hope of Christians are in Syria, and in Damascus they manage the prized Italian Asmi Hospital, taking care of the body and spirit of the Syrians without looking at political or religious affiliation or social class. In Damascus, they also run a kindergarten, and in Aleppo, too, they have a kindergarten in a very small structure. Today, it is urgent to rebuild the heads, the minds of the people. This will only be possible with the long, difficult, constant work of the school. The construction of schools in Syria motivates this campaign. We have chosen Aleppo and Damascus, strategic points, a concentration of populations, offering children, teenagers, young people, and their families quality educational facilities that will ensure a culture of peace and will support hope. Thank you for the solidarity of those who let themselves become part of this adventure.